Let's talk about mulch, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the ways we can use mulch. That may be. Let's talk about mulch. Let's talk about mulch. Here's what we're talking about, mulch. So I have been picking up multiple loads of mulch. Woo! Much mulch. Hashtag much mulch. Let's start using it. But we are using it for a ton of things around here. As many times as I can go to Sierra Vista to pick up mulch, that's going to be helpful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Specifically, this is wood chip mulch.
Wood chip mulch, because mulch can be various things. Gravel could be used as mulch. You could have sawdust.
Straw. Just pieces of rubber.
I guess you could use rubber. I wouldn't use rubber.
Any kind of chunks of things, right?
Any kind of chunks of things. Whatever you can get your hands on. It can serve a lot of purposes depending on what you need it for. The wood mulch will be multiple purpose for us. Should we take them around?
Yeah.
Let's take them around. Let's show them all the different ways that we'll be using the mulch around here. You guys ready? Let's go for a tour! Yeah! That means I gotta get up. Waja! So one of the uses for us is right here in the garden, and we have it everywhere over here in the garden. We got it covering the walkways. We even got it covering our garden beds. It's going to help keep in the moisture in our sunken beds.
It will help the water get in there, and then it will hold the moisture in there longer.
And the wood chips will not only absorb water, allowing a slow release of that water into the soil, but it'll also help protect the soil, keeping the sun off of it, allowing that moisture to soak in a little bit better.
It'll keep that soil cooler because it is protecting it from the heat of the sun.
It'll help prevent compaction. If you have enough mulch on there, it'll keep the weight from compressing the soil. Just keep everything nice and fluffy.
And a couple other benefits of having the wood mulch in the garden here is it helps suppress weed growth by kind of smothering it out. Also, it can help actually prevent soil-borne diseases, because if you have bare soil and you get a heavy rain or just from watering the plants, sometimes the soil will splash up on the leaves and that can cause disease.
I suppose there's a lot of organisms living in that soil, and you want those organisms
in the soil.
In the soil, not on the leaves. It could, two different worlds. You don't want those worlds colliding sometimes. Let's head over to our gray water basins. Pow! We are crouching. We are crouching in our gray water basin. This is one of the first things that we installed out here. So important, because we needed a place for all of our wastewater to go. That water gets reused, comes into the basin here, feeds the tree.
And the mulch plays a really important part. Not only does it hold in that water that's coming in, but it kind of acts as a filtration system for that water, which is the kind of dirty water.
A gray water, if you will.
So, I mean, there's no mess, no smells. We can stand or crouch in here without an issue.
Not only do we have it here where it'll allow that water to soak into the mound, but we also have it covering around the perimeter of the basins as well. And that will help stop any erosion from these mounds around the basin.
Right, without the mulch, the soil that is mounded up around the basins would just kind of slump down into the low spot. And the mulch really helps it stay in place because it's heavier than the finer soil particles. But also, as the mulch breaks down, you get this mycelium that grows in there and is breaking down the mulch, but it's also kind of binding everything together.
Yeah, we've seen that firsthand, eh? The mycelium growing, it's insane. But I mean, we're really creating a very healthy environment for the soil around here. And it's just so amazing to see and how quickly it happens.
Mm-hmm. And all the different things that are living in there is really proof of that.
So many bugs. We've even had worms in here, right?
Earthworms.
What?
In the desert.
in the desert. Earthworms in the desert. Can I get a oh yeah? Let me get an earthworm.
But this wood chip mulch really helps with the biodiversity since there are different size pieces of the wood chips. There are finer particles and larger pieces, so it creates a habitat for different kinds of organisms to live in there, and it's breaking down at different rates. So different things have different opportunities to feed on that. So there's everything from, spiders to different insects to microorganisms and fungi feeding on this mulch.
Wait, what? There's spiders in here?
Yes.
Whoa.
All over.
I'm just kidding, I ain't afraid of no spiders.
And as those different organisms are feeding on the mulch and breaking it down, it's releasing nutrients into the soil, and it's actually becoming topsoil. And that's improving the soil structure, which really helps the plants.
Depending on where you are in the desert, you might have a lot of sand. We have a lot of clay. Either way, if your soil is draining too quickly, or if water doesn't soak in at all, you want to get organic matter into the ground. Whatever your soil conditions, organic matter is the answer. As if you didn't need enough reasons to get some mulch in your yard, we're going to take you to the next area. Oh! This brings us back full circle over underneath our awning. Why are we here? Well, I'll tell you. Your hair almost kind of looks like has a little reddish tinge. Crew's got a reddish tinge. Crew, look at that. Camera's on and camera hog has to get in there.
What?
What?
Are you gonna come up here?
Crew's like, I want to join in the fun. What are you guys doing? So that brings us full circle underneath the awning. We are going to spread a ton of mulch under here. Why? That's a good question. This area becomes crazy wet when it rains. Now you would think because of the roof that it wouldn't be super wet. But the thing is, when it does rain, the winds are crazy, the rain's crazy.
Sometimes it's coming in sideways.
You can't control it, it gets everywhere. But also, we are downhill from a lot of it, so water just comes right at us. So what this mulch will do, once we spread it out here, will just keep this from becoming a crazy, muddy mess. The nice thing about having the mulch there is it acts as a barrier to the soil so that the water isn't pounding on it. You wanna fetch? That's the first time I ever see him grab a stick before.
He needs something to chew on because he hears the cows. It's another use for mulch.
Alright, do you have anything else to say about that?
One cool thing about this wood chip mulch, we're getting it for free, and it's a local source, so that can be very economical and sustainable.
The city of Sierra Vista has a great program. People can bring in all their yard waste that gets broken down, chopped up, and then people with the know-how can go in there and pick it up. People that know the value of it. And this stuff right here is completely free. So many props to Sierra Vista for having that program. All you other cities, get with it. Now, some people might have issues with wood chip mulch, and it might have some valid concerns.
If thing I've heard is possibly it's spreading diseases from diseased plants or trees, or if they've been sprayed with some kind of chemicals. I think research that's been done hasn't really shown that that's an issue as far as spreading disease in that way, and plant pathologists don't consider that to be a problem. As far as the chemicals go, if you're concerned about that, you can always let the wood chips age, and that usually takes care of that. Another thing is allelopathic plants, so things like black walnut has been known to be allelopathic, which means that it inhibits the growth of other plants. A situation like this where we have large amounts of yard waste from different sources, the likelihood of an allelopathic plant being a large percentage of that is pretty slim.
You gotta consider the source.
One thing you might want to be aware of is piling mulch up around tree trunks. That could cause like rot. So you don't want to have like big mounds right around it.
Keep a little lighter right around the trunk.
Another thing is the wood chips soaking up the nitrogen.
Usually not too big of a problem if the wood chips are sitting on top of the soil. If it starts getting mixed into the soil, it could start robbing some of the soil of that nitrogen. If that is a concern, just add more nitrogen heavy stuff into the mix. Not only will that help the soil get extra nitrogen in the soil, but the wood chips will soak that up. And it's not like it's gone, because once those wood chips start breaking down into the soil, it's going to release that nitrogen back into there.
So again, it's more of an issue with like fresh wood chips. So you will want to replenish the wood chips over time because they do break down and they do kind of settle in, and you want a nice thick layer.
That's good. Like once you got to replace it, you know that means it's breaking down, it's becoming topsoil, and you just want to keep adding it. I mean, and then your topsoil is just going to grow and grow and grow. Thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. Really appreciate you hearing us talk about one of our favorite things. Mulch. I know I love it. I can't get enough. I'm going to cover this whole 40 acres in mulch. You watch. 5-6 inches of mulch all over the 40 acres. Maybe that's a little carried away. We'll catch you. Oh. Special announcement before we leave. If you haven't seen Morgan Gold over at Goldshaw Farm, we are going to be on his podcast. When is that? Tomorrow?
Wednesday.
Oh! Check out Goldshaw Farm on his YouTube channel, but more importantly, we'll be on his podcast. Should be interesting. I think it was a good discussion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had a good talk with Morgan. Very nice that he asked us. We were very honored. A lot of really good stories on the Goldshaw Farm podcast, and we're honored to be included in that. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll catch you on the next video.